Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
You big dummy.
Oh, great Odin's raven.
Say hello to my little friend.
I stepped in a ditch last night, man. I almost closed my balls off, man.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. What's the problem?
Yeah, David.
Oh, no punchy fear well without.
I'm the doctor.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
This aggression will not stand, man.
Engage.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Okay, we'll just start. Hey everyone, welcome to the Pulp Culture Cafe Season 13, Episode 335. This is Free for All 3. It's real simple now. We're just going to do one show where we actually talk about stuff that we want to get out. Then the second show, we're just going to blubber around like idiots. So, I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to bring up one that I'm sure you guys, well, I should say you're sure because you never know what our viewing habits are personally, but I have a feeling you might have watched it. Predator, the Killer of Killers. Have you guys watched that?
I have seen it actually, yes.
Scott?
I wondered if any of you guys would have seen it.
I never watched it.
Okay, and I know you usually don't give a shit if we talk about something you haven't seen, correct?
That's anime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not anime, it's animation.
Animation.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
Yeah, but that'll bring me to another question I want to bring up about you guys. But yeah, I can't say I hated it. I thought it was, at least they're expanding the Predator universe instead of having the same thing with the aliens. Aliens come down, we breed, kill, kill, kill. We actually got a species that actually, which I find amazing in that they're like, you always wonder about the Klingons and how they got to they are in space and traveling in ships when they just seem like they just want to fight and kill each other.
Yeah.
And the same with aliens, their whole thing is hunt. And how did they evolve to this where they have people actually figure out how to make this stuff, right? So that's always been a little weird to me. But I enjoyed it, but I did get a really... I have to... I think I've mentioned this before to you guys, but personally, as I'm getting older, I'm finding less I enjoy the violent part of stuff. The constant need to constantly keep... There's certain stuff, but the constant falling into, it seems like the only thing the human species is good at is killing. We seem to really emphasize that, or it's our main contribution to things. And that's how I got the feeling for this show, is that we show the Vikings and coming in and just slaughtering. There's fucking blood flying all over the place and shit like that. And I understand it.
Violence.
Yeah, I understand that it's the predator is looking for a challenge, the hunt. So he looks at other hunters or species and find the best of what they do. So I understand the concept. I just got a little sick of seeing the same shit again in that concept. And then the second one with they kind of moved up in a way, which is they show the Vikings at the just basically that we hunt and kill the enemy. The Japanese one where there's some culture and it wasn't main about I grew up, I have to slaughter these people. It's about the development of two different kids who fall into that hard samurai, and the other one who just couldn't bring himself to do it, but ends up being a very well-trained fighter himself. And and then going through, and I don't think, to me, I don't know, Scott, I mean, Paul, if you had it, at the end of it, he wasn't so much that he wanted to beat his brother. He just wanted to show him that I am as capable as you, but I didn't have to go to these. Because all he did at the end, he didn't kill him. He just cut him, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he fell off the balcony.
Yeah.
And clearly he didn't want that to happen.
No.
He didn't plan on that happening.
No.
Like, you're exactly right. He literally just wanted to show sort of like, yeah, you might have got the title.
Yeah.
But, you don't necessarily earn it. You're only here because I didn't fight.
Yeah.
When we were kids.
Yeah. I chose not to kill you. I didn't think that I needed to kill you to be as good, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then to the final World War II, which wasn't really about. I mean, yes, it's war and we're fighting, but out of that, it wasn't the best fighter. It was the best, more intelligent of the group. So you see different levels, from ultimate violence to slowing down to using your intelligence to defeat your enemy.
Yeah. That was a lot to do with it. I'm a little different to you. I thoroughly enjoyed the fighting and the action. Yeah. I thought it was really, really well done. It was. I thought it was an excellent art style. The animation reminded me a little bit of Into the Spider-Verse because it was quite a low frame rate, so it wasn't smooth animation. It was slightly jerky. Yeah. But I thought it was very well done. I thought the action sequences were extremely well choreographed and done very, very well indeed. And I thoroughly enjoyed it for that. Yeah. And it was only when we got to World War II that I started to get bored. Because, like you quite rightly say, this guy's clearly very clever. He repairing aeroplanes mid-flight and working out ways to actually beat the enemy. I mean, it made a couple of logic leaps. Oh yeah. When he said, "Oh, it's the heat. They see the heat." I thought, how do you know that? Yeah. What? That's a massive. That's a massive leap, really.
Once he stood out and went on the plane wing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when you really. Like, you already know this is science fiction. But then you took a way too big a leap when he's out on the wing.
Oh, yeah.
Flying.
That was kind of ridiculous. The bit that I really struggled with was when he's flying the plane on its side through the streets and back alleys of whatever town that was. I thought, that is not how planes work. That plane would have fallen into the ground. It's got to be flying level so that the air is actually keeping it. And I thought, okay, you know what? It's fiction. It's not real. Stop getting anal about this sort of thing and just let them tell the story. But that was definitely the weakest of the story. And I think literally the only reason the pilot was in it was so that they had an escape plan for later on in the movie, which I didn't really have any interest in at that point. If it was just an anthology, which I thought it was.
Yeah, me too. I thought
it was going to be like an anthology, like three different times the Predator had come down to Earth, and 3 different times it had fought somebody. And I thought that was going to be it. I didn't expect the ending bit.
No.
Where they all tried to escape. So like the first two, I thought were excellent.
And then the ending, right?
The ending. Yeah.
2. No, I'm talking about after they escaped and they fly away. Then you've got that other ending. I didn't expect that either, and I'm thinking,
no,
this is okay. This is a little too. You've got all these ships after a ship. Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah. To that when they all took off, all the ships took off, and then when they were going back, it was sort of like an Indiana Jones warehouse that was absolutely stuffed full of crap.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and I thought, you're clearly setting this up for a sequel. That much is clearly obvious.
Yeah.
You are definitely intending to make a sequel out of this. But the way it ended, I had absolutely no interest in seeing a sequel.
No.
Because I thought, there's nothing more about this story. Because the last quarter hour, 20 minutes of the movie, I had absolutely no interest in whatsoever. I thought, the way you've set it up, it's just going to be more of that. And that's the worst part of the film. And I've got no interest in it.
I like it, like you said.
Yeah,
what are you going to say? I know you're just going to say
just
it.
I was going to say it again. Yeah, exactly.
When they went, done.
Yeah.
Move on. Done. Move on.
Yeah.
Done.
Just do that.
Yeah. because, and the weird part you're talking, and as I'm thinking about this, it's amazing how the first part that I find way too bloody and violent was probably more accurate than the third part, which is supposed to be, was less violent, but less accurate.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't want to sound like I dished it. It was nice entertainment, but yeah, it had its flaws. And the other part where they showed the woman from Prey in it, I said, the movie ended just fine. Why do you have to do this with this character here?
Yeah. It kind of ruined the ending of Prey.
Yeah.
because you know that she ends up on that spaceship, which is probably a little bit of a spoiler. But if anyone's interested in watching this, I would literally just watch the first two storylines and then stop and just call it a day, because it doesn't get any better than that. Just leave it at that. Just watch the first two storylines and then tap out and just enjoy that for what it is. Because the first two, I thought were really, really good. Very well done. Like I say, I love the action, love the choreography, love the art style. I thought they were very, very good. And then it just went downhill. It started.
I would say still watch 3. Still watch 3, but you know, just towards the end where suddenly it shows them years later or whatever, just stop it. Stop there.
Stop there. Yeah.
And leave it.
Yeah.
And then go on. Even though it has its flaws, it really gets. It's kind of.
It was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
It was quite entertaining. I will give it that, but it was the weakest of the few of the 3. Purely because they needed that character for what came next. If you're not interested in what comes next, you don't really need to see it, but you probably should. But what is interesting, I don't know whether you noticed, but the third one, when they were on the aircraft carrier, the guy who was in charge, whose name I don't think did we find it out? The voice actor was Michael Biehn.
Oh, I saw him in the credits. I was trying to figure out where.
Yeah. He was the sergeant or the captain or whoever was in charge of the aircraft squadron.
Oh, okay.
I recognised his voice, and I double checked it with the credits when the movie ended, and so that means that Michael Biehn has now been in a Terminator film, an Alien film, and a Predator film, if you're including voice acting credits.
Oh yeah.
So that's him and Bill Paxton now. Have been in all 3.
Cool.
But only Bill Paxton has actually been killed by them all, because Michael Biehn didn't die in Aliens.
No.
So
bringing it up, I saw again a thing they were asking him, and I assumed it was about how he died in the second film. He didn't even die. Like he's just in the tube, and that was it. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Didn't die. Didn't die. He they killed him off screen at the start of Alien 3.
Yeah. So now this brings me to a question for both you guys. I was thinking about, I haven't followed a thing on Instagram. It's every week shows me all the improvements and stuff they've been doing with AI, and how the video animation, how it's such improved that you're getting to the point where especially older people are not going to know the difference, right? You have no idea what's going on. When the first fully generated AI movie comes out, because it's going to happen, what do you think how are they going to categorize it? Will Hollywood say it's live action because it looks so real, or will they call it AI generated movie, AI anime?
Well, they can't call it live action because it won't be. Even if it looks like it, it's not live action. It's animated.
But didn't they do that with a Disney film? They animated, they CGI'd it and called it live action.
Oh shit! Yeah, they did that with Lion King. Didn't they? They said they made a live action Lion King, and they didn't make a live action Lion King.
I know.
It just looked like it was. Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Because I know if they said it said this is a live action, I would argue to the last of my breath, says, no, it's AI animation. It's not live action. There's nothing live in it.
Yeah. We'll probably all be dead by then anyway, because if AI gets that good, then it's just going to turn into Skynet.
You need to watch
It's not going to want to start making films.
I know, but you need to watch some of these videos I've seen, and they're fucking amazing.
Caroline, my wife, she got taken in by a movie trailer for Highlander 2. She was getting very excited about Highlander 2. It had Henry Cavill in it.
Yeah.
So she said, I've seen this. They're making a Highlander 2. I said, really? You're joking? I love Highlander. Well, I think they did make a Highlander 2, actually, but I digress.
Yeah.
So she said they're making a new Highlander with Henry Cavill. So I looked at the trailer and I said, no, that's AI. They're not making a new Highlander movie. And she had absolutely no idea. No idea.
They're making a new
it was
Highlander
an AI
movie.
trailer.
They are making a new one, but there's no trailers. It's not even in post-production
No.
or nothing, pre-production. So,
Right. Well, yeah, that was not a trailer for the new Highlander movie.
Yeah, no.
It was definitely AI.
yeah.
But she was completely taken in by it. She was absolutely convinced.
Yeah.
So it is very, very real, and it's getting better every day.
Yeah.
There's going to be a war between the studios and the AI studios, and the first shot was fired June 12th, 2025. Disney and Universal are suing artificial intelligence AI firm Midjourney over its image generation, which the Hollywood giants allege is a bottomless pit of plagiarism. Now, when we talk about the first AI movie, I don't think those guys are very creative. They can create AI, but they're going to need original content. And anyone they try and rip off they're going to get sued, and it's going to be held up in court for years. That's the thing.
Well, there was a big argument a while ago about people who make AI art, in air quotes. Because they claim that they are artists and they're making original work. But everybody knows that AI draws upon it draws upon history, basically. Every piece of art that's ever been made, AI just samples it. And that's how AI is not, it doesn't create things. It doesn't create new things. It doesn't invent anything. AI just creates things just based on what's come before. And it's the same thing. So it's a bottomless pit of plagiarism. That's exactly what AI is. That's what AI does.
Yeah.
Studios have successfully sued companies and individuals who have plagiarized their products. So there's precedent for it. The only pushback that the AI studios have is, unfortunately, in the last 20 years, studios haven't been suing cons. They haven't been suing cosplayers. They haven't kept on look at protecting their IP. So the AI folks may have something to say there. Will say, why us, why now?
Yeah, it'll be the lawyers for Disney and that to some way separate that thing from these are just fans and if just doing stuff to where you're a larger company trying to profit off our IP, where these are just fans of the convention.
Amount of profit.
Yeah, the amount of profit.
The amount of profit.
Yeah,
amount of profit. Because I know like for instance, the cosplay girls, they made probably several hundred, if not tens of thousands of dollars dressing up as Spider-Woman or Thor or what have you.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're taking an entire movie, and they have to out of the gate, because if they don't win the first battle, it's pretty well over. They can't wait. I mean, that's why this lawsuit came out now, because they're like, wait a minute, if we don't start this fight now, we're fucked, because this is coming in like 2 to 3 years, if not less. And if you believe Bill Maher, it's going to be here next year.
I like it every time we show. They're going to take over. They're going to take over.
The robots are coming.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I watched a video. The weapons that they have now they're horrifying. They're horrifying. I've seen them in the streets. These dogs and these.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrifying. And they're real. It's not AI. They have created these creatures, these metallic creatures to serve in the military. It's fascinating. But anyway, that's another thing. But I mean, AI, they have that was the first shot. And it's going to be a legal fight. But I mean, I would be very, very surprised if you see a completely AI generated film in theaters within the next 10 years, because Hollywood owns the theaters for the most part. They own a lot of the content, or at least can sue if anything IP wise is even touched or allegedly is drawn upon. So it's going to be tough, but it'll seep in. It's like trying to stop water, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I just watched a little clip about it. Showed a couple of stormtroopers The guy says, we're at the Battle of Hoth here, and we're getting shot all over the place, and Gary's over here building snowman.
Yeah.
You know, it's stuff like that. It's small entertainment things, you know, they're fine, but it depends. Yeah, it's I had just thought about that because I get these constant things, and they keep showing different AI programs or from Google and other stuff evolving so quick. And the guy's even involved in with it, saying it's going faster than we thought, a lot faster than we thought. And was it the guy on Bill Maher? He says the guys that are kind of warning us that this is going to happen are getting on board, because this is, if we're going to be left behind, I'd rather be involved in it somehow than just sitting back. Something like that, wasn't it? He phrased it like that.
Yeah, I don't know whether people reject shit all the time, and I think, I mean, though people will start rejecting it, they'll realize, especially if there's an AI movie made and it bombs, and a lot of people don't want to watch that. They just they know it's not real. There's a realism that people crave it. Like reality TV is a fine example. People said it was reality TV in the 2000s, and a lot of people thought, oh, this is really happening. But after a while, they realized, oh, this is bullshit. It's fake. It's predetermined, what have you. And they just kind of moved away from it. Reality TV, like The Apprentice and Survivor, they don't have near the ratings they used to, because people were like, no, I know this isn't reality. And I think with AI also, it's kind of ghoulish, but I think you're going to see actors that aren't alive anymore. And after, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Ian McKellen after he's passed away playing a character in some movie. It's ghoulish. I think a lot of humanity is going to have that same mentality where they're like, this guy's dead, or this lady's dead. I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, I don't know. If you got anything, just whip it out.
I watched the first season of She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah? And did you like it?
And?
It sucked.
Oh, okay. I liked it.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
I thought
It wasn't
very
okay. It wasn't bad. I just want to see. I just want to see John Hulk up. Just
no, we've gone through that part. If you're foolish enough to believe that Mary sued her to be exactly have the same problems as Bruce Banner, then I have a problem with it. But there's two different people.
They didn't. The biggest sin of that entire show, and I checked on they had a $250 million budget, and some of that CGI was a cardinal sin. How do you actually put that on screen with that big of a budget and say, this is fine? That made no sense. Yeah. Like some of it was muddled all the way through, but I'm thinking whoever did that should be fired. Like, how do you put that? How do we pay you that much money and you end up putting something like that on screen? The character itself, I love Tatiana Maslany. I think her name, last name is
Maslany.
Maslany. She's a fantastic actress. She did bring some good points to it. Some of it was hokey. The Daredevil stuff wasn't that bad. It looked actually pretty good. That fight scene in the garage was actually really well done.
Yeah.
I like the stuff when she was talking about, Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk, where people, they liked She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters was just there, and that sit down. But some of the stuff in there, it's like, I think it was ladies guessing what guys talk about when they're not around. The whole thing with the retreat she went to, and they're all sitting around Porcupine and a few others. I'm thinking, do you guys really think that guys talk like that when you're not around? That was a bit weird. I mean, a lot of that during the thing, I'm thinking, guys don't have those conversations when you're around. And there was a real demasculinizing of every male character, and a kind of a amplifying of some, because they were either completely demasculized or complete assholes. Except for Bruce, and Bruce, they kind of do that.
But so, I've got to intersect with something here. So on YouTube, every once in a while, I watch these videos where there's a woman. There's women who say stuff about men, right? Whatever, and then she comes in. She says, "Well, men, you're basically, she's debunking some of these stupid myths that women have about men or what they should do. And one was a video of a woman who said she was at a camp and the women and the men left. And for some reason she was still there, but the women kept going, but the men came back to camp. And she pretended she was asleep or hid and kind of asleep. She wanted to hear what men actually talk about. And what they talked about was taking shits and how big their shit was and where did they shit. And she said, it basically was kind of like, she said, see women, this is what men actually talk about. They don't talk about, the things that you think they do or whatever they do. They're just having stupid men talking about.
Yeah.
It was a whole 20 to 30 minutes conversation about shits and stuff like that.
Yeah. But that was probably the biggest sin is they didn't realize. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a second season. She was an Avenger from issue 221 to like 238.
Yeah.
Her and Hawkeye signed up at the same time. I would love to see her and Jeremy Renner in a scene. That would be kind of cool. Yeah. That would make people pop. But I mean, if they spent $250 million on that, and that alone probably killed it because Iger said, "What the fuck?" And that there's no return. So, but if she, as a character, if she showed up in Secret Wars or that, and they built it into it, I'd love to see She-Hulk again. She's a great actress, and some of the CGI, as I said, some of the CGI she looked really great in.
Yeah,
some of it was like, holy shit.
And I just find her cute too.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, but
part of the problem with these Marvel shows is that there's actually some really good casting going on. It's like when you look at some of the characters, they've done a good job. It's like Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk.
She reminded me of the Byrne She-Hulk. She reminded me of the Byrne She-Hulk when I saw her. So.
And I can't remember the name of the actress, but the girl who plays Miss Marvel, I think that's good casting.
Yeah,
I think that she's a good Miss Marvel. Now, I'm not necessarily a Miss Marvel person, but I think that the problem with Marvel is that they've got all these tools to work with, and they're just not making something decent out of it. I don't know what the problem is. But they're just fucking everything up left, right, and centre. But they've actually got the building blocks there to do something really good. They've got good actors and actresses. They've got, well cast. They've got decades of Marvel history that they can draw on if they really wanted to. I mean, the number of story arcs they could just go and revisit and just say, you know what, fuck it, we're going to do this. And, and now all of a sudden it'd be like, now you have my attention. It's if they did, I mean, just the first thing that springs to mind, AVX, Avengers versus X-Men. If they actually did comic accurate AVX with the characters that we've got, I mean, fucking hell, can you imagine if they brought back like Steve Rogers and Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And they brought back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and they brought back fuck me, what's his face as Cyclops. The people that we know, the people that we like.
James Marsden.
James Marsden. And actually did comic accurate retelling of that story. It
doesn't even need to be a retelling.
You
it just
lose.
Doesn't. They don't need you to go so far off the original story that it's unrecognizable. That's the thing. They don't have to tell the exact story. They just don't have to go so far away that it's unrecognizable to both the fans who want to see that story and the other folks who don't know anything about it. There's as I said, there's like when I was watching these Disney series, it's not as bad as I expected, but they left a lot on the table. And it was easy fixes too. Like really easy fixes in some cases.
So and it's still we're trying to appeal to a small margin
Yes, they are. There's a lot of ideology there, and it sometimes it's ball peen hammer.
Yeah,
and it's just God, guys.
Just make a story for everybody instead of trying to make a story for one certain group and hope the rest will fall in. So
The Last of Us, I'm gonna do a review on it next, but just a quick note: they lost half their audience in one season, and as I'm watching the season, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I think some directors and they want a certain message put across, and they shoot themselves in the foot to get there, and it's just I don't know why they do it. I don't know why they do it, but anyway, that's for next time.
Using that quickly, could that be part of the reason why Doctor Who changed already? Has got a doctor change. Is it because Russell T Davies is trying too much to, instead of telling good stories, he's trying to, because he said he was going to push the agenda of that he, she, I don't even want to use woke, but that certain aspect we need to
ideologically driven.
Yeah,
that's what it is to me. It's ideologically driven. When something is ideologically driven, they do not care about the end game. It's all about the message.
Yeah.
And when you're telling a story, you need to have an end game in mind, because that's the end of a good story.
Yeah. So even though like I did enjoy some of the stories in the recent Doctor Who, the one thing one thing I like about when we talk about, so you remind me of stuff I want to ask you guys, is like with Doctor Who, the one thing I hate about it the most, even though I like it, is that there's no consistency in the stories. Every showrunner comes around and changes the history of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Even constantly, Russell T Davies changed the history of Doctor Who. At one point they changed it to the Doctor Who came from somewhere they don't know where, and the Doctor is the original Time Lord. And this during Jodie Whittaker's things and then they kind of backtrack to make the Time Lords from her, and then suddenly you get this in the new one. Now you've got a character that was. Now Omega Doctor Who or Mega Time Lord.
Yeah.
They never stick with a constant storyline. They keep changing rules that you just, as a fan, if you're constantly watching, you're going, well, that can't be right because this was here. That's the one thing I hate about Doctor Who. They never stick with the same.
It's not just Doctor Who; it's the multiverse flaw. I've said when you start getting
I'm just talking about Doctor Who. I don't want to talk about the multiverse thing.
No, I'm talking about when you go and you make different timelines or different storylines for the same event. It becomes so convoluted and confusing that after a while you just don't care.
Yeah,
and that's where apathy for series come from.
Well, this is not an event. This is a character, and his character story. It's just stay with. Please have someone in control of continuity with this fucking show, because I get sick of it. I mean, I have to refer to Paul because he's watched it more than I have to say you have. So we got a look in from a long time ago. So we have more of a
yeah. So. And I am British, so I do own Doctor Who. No, I agree. The thing that I didn't like the most about the latest season or the last couple of seasons was just the way that they play around with the lore of Doctor Who. Because I've been watching it for a long, long time. And it's like all of a sudden you've got another Time Lord when he's supposed to be the last of the Time Lords. And then this happens and that happens. And then he'll do something, and then they're talking about bi-generating. It's like, where the fuck is all this coming from? What is this bullshit? You're just making stuff up now. Just tell a good Doctor Who story instead of making new stuff up that has never ever been part of Doctor Who history before.
But the other thing is that they say, oh, we can't reproduce. Bullshit.
Yeah.
you can reproduce because in Mark Capaldi's season, you know, they show him as a child. He's hiding under the bed.
Yeah. And also, in the very first season of Doctor Who, he's got a granddaughter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Like, fuck off.
But, I mean, to be fair, that was like 60-odd years ago, so, you know.
Yeah, but still, I mean, sure, you can change them, but constantly changing from showrunner to showrunner, making up new rules, that's bullshit. That is complete bullshit. So.
Yeah. It's almost like it doesn't feel like Doctor Who. When they change it, it's like fundamental things. It's sort of like, is this really Doctor Who anymore? Yeah. I don't know.
They should do like you do with James Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond changes, like some people say he's a Time Lord because he keeps changes. He's still James Bond, but he's different people. But at least it's consistent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Same character.
Yeah.
But, both of your lack of progressiveness offends me.
Yeah, fuck off and die.
And now I'm going to take your houses for that.
Okay.
Oh no, I've been cancelled.
Oh yeah.
You know, to completely clear that palate, have either of you watched Mobland?
No.
Fuck.
I've watched the first series episode, but I haven't watched any more.
I was gonna say that look that Paul just gave, that like, oh, I just got goose right on live on screen.
Yeah,
he was like,
that's a man who's watched Mobland.
Yeah.
Oh, it was John, I'm telling you.
Oh my god.
Incredibly, it was like watching a 4 2-hour movies. It was so fucking good. I mean, Helen Mirren, Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan doing his best work that I think I've ever seen him do, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And the other characters whose names escape me, but there was not one bad part. They had fun. It was Game of Thrones. It was any Guy Ritchie film put together. It was fantastic. Yes. I mean, I can't recommend it enough.
There was a lot of actors in there that people who watch a lot of British television would recognise as being very good actors. So I think a lot of international audiences might recognise Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren and Tom Hardy because they've been in a lot of international blockbuster movies. But that was a big cast. That was a big cast of characters, and it was such a good story. It's like, because in the past few months we've been talking about Gangs of London, we've been talking about This City Is Ours, which are like British crime, mob family dramas. But Mobland just blows every single one of them out of the water.
I would argue that was some of Tom Hardy's best work too. Tom Hardy's best work. Like I want to be Tom Hardy's character so badly. Yeah. How cool is that guy? It's like, Carol will stab you after we're done here. Yeah. But I mean, it's
such a good character.
I can't wait till the second season. And you can tell Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan were having the fucking time of their life with this dialogue and having fun. That's what it felt like. You could tell the cast was having so much fun making this fucking film. And there was a few actresses that I've never seen before. The blonde who played the lawyer.
Yes. I don't think I've seen her in anything before.
Fuck, I did a deep dive on her just because you could tell she's done. I know from deep dives, she's been on stage for the last 15 years. She's kind of in the same vein as Helen Mirren.
I can believe that. Yeah.
Fucking gorgeous too. Holy sheep.
Wow.
Beautiful woman.
Was she ever?
Absolutely beautiful woman. Who else? Even the kids, even the young kids. He reminded me a lot of the prince off of Game of Thrones. Just a little pain in the ass. More, more
absolute psychopath.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I can't wait for season 2. And it was a surprise hit. I don't think people expected it to be as good as it was. But you look at that cast, you're like, yeah, okay. They wouldn't. I don't think they'd do if it was that shitty. They have other projects. They must have saw the script and said, this is very, very good, and I want to do it. So.
Yeah. I think there must be an element of that because, I mean, unless you're going to throw a huge amount of money at somebody, if you came at them with a shit script, you would have to throw a huge amount of money at people like that to get them to do your TV show. But they must have read that and thought, actually, you know what? This is going to make me look good.
Yes.
This is going to be a great, look great on my IMDb entry.
Yeah.
It really was excellent. It really was. I was so pleased when it looked like they were going to do a season 2, and I don't know whether it's been confirmed or whether they've started making it, because I think season 1 only finished in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But I hope they do. I hope they do.
I like all that dirty police slang, the grass and so forth. He's a dirty grass. Yeah. Just
That's
stuff like that. I was thinking all that slang that I picked up over we watched it in 2 days. We just literally did 5 episodes one day and 5 episodes the next. And I was doing all that English police slang there for the next couple. He said dirty grass.
Yeah. We watched 2 episodes a day. I think there might have been the odd day where we watched 3. But we didn't watch quite that many in one go. But we just couldn't stop watching it.
Oh,
it's like every day. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I watched the first one and I did enjoy it. I just never got back to the other ones. I think because I have to rent them from a different service.
Okay. I understand.
But I did enjoy it, and it was Guy Ritchie, so I like Guy Ritchie, right?
Yes.
And I also and Tom Hardy
though he just directed it.
Yeah, but and Tom, I have yet to see a movie that I've saw with Tom Hardy in that I did not enjoy because he's in it. So
fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, he is a great actor. I've seen him in some really good roles, but I think this is his best work so far.
Yeah.
I think he was excellent in this. It really was. Yeah. I thought he was excellent. Yeah.
I know you have a bunch of stuff you want to talk about, Paul. You said earlier you said a bunch of stuff. I don't know if we hit any things you wanted to talk about, but we should.
We've hit a couple. Mobland was on my list.
Okay.
So I'm really pleased that Scott brought that up. Oh man, where do I start? So I finally watched Squid Game 2. I don't know whether either of you have seen that.
No, I've never watched any of that.
You've seen the first season?
No.
You don't watch any of it?
No.
You know what Squid Game is, I imagine.
Japanese snuff, I thought.
More or less, it's Korean. So basically, it's a show.
I know the concept.
Yeah, it's all the people who are hard up on the luck, homeless, massive debts. Somebody goes around and invites them to participate in some games. And if they win the games, then they win millions, if not billions, of whatever currency they use in Korea. Won, I think it is. And what they don't realise until they get there is that if you lose the game, then you end up getting killed. And that's how they whittle down the players towards the end of the show. Eventually, It's sort of, like there's one who wins, small number of them who win. But once you've actually started, you can't get away because they take you to an island. It's got armed guards and they force you to play. You've got no choice in the matter. So one guy wins. But is really sort of traumatized by this experience. So the second season is about him trying to stop them from continuing to play these games. Because as you would imagine, it's some extremely rich people who are funding this and who were taking advantage of it. And the guy who actually won, he wants to stop the games. Now, the first episode almost made me stop watching it because it was all about one or two guys who had some knowledge of the games to one who had actually played in the games, and they just spent all episode just trying to find the island or trying to find the people responsible, trying to stop it. And I thought, this is so dull. I don't want to watch a series of this. But by the time you get into episode 2 and episode 3, you end up back on the island and you end up back in the games. However, the dynamic has shifted because now you've got someone in there who's played before, someone who has a little bit of knowledge. And when everybody else finds out that somebody's in there who's played the games before, some of them are thinking, actually, we can use this guy's knowledge to win these games and actually progress through. but he's trying to stop people from playing, but nobody wants to stop playing because they want him to help them win because they want the money. And it just creates it makes it into a different show. Previously it's just like, oh shit, if we don't win these games we're going to die, and that was it. That was season 1. Now you've got these factions forming where it's sort of like, fuck this shit, we want to go home. And then you got the faction who are like, oh no, we want to keep playing because, you know, and we will do anything to make this continue. And I won't, it's not really a spoiler, but also you get one of the head guys who's in charge of the army of the armed security, who's making them do this for reasons that we don't yet know, because we're going into season 3. I think comes out towards the end of July. One of the guys who's in charge of the armed security, he puts himself into the games in season 2, and it's like, okay, so what's he going to do? Is he going to sabotage them? Is he? And it's sort of like, and he kind of helps them, but it's sort of like, but he's going to flip and he's going to sabotage this at any minute. So you've got all these moving parts. You've got all these different dynamics going on that weren't in season 1. And after I got over the hump of episode 1, which had absolutely nothing to do with the games at all, I thought, actually, this is really good. This is actually very, very good indeed, because this is a completely different dynamic. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, and I was really enjoying it. And then it ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm waiting for season 3 to come out now. And as soon as it does, I'm just going to jump straight into that. So it was actually very, very good. I really enjoyed season 1, and I ended up really enjoying season 2 as well. So if you haven't seen it, I can recommend it. It is pretty good.
I remember hearing that the guy who wrote the first one, they said, if I remember correctly, they said something about Netflix wanted him to do a second season, and he said, I really don't know what to do because I only wrote for 1, basically. One and done. So
yeah, and it could have been. It could easily have been, yeah, but they didn't, because that's why it's taken me so long to watch season 2, because I thought, I just have no idea where they're going to go with this, because of, you know, I really enjoyed season 1. I don't really have any interest in season 2, but I gave it a go. Like I said, nearly tapped out after episode 1. What was cool about episode 1, or was it in the beginning of episode 2? So the guy who wins the first Squid Game, he wins a massive fortune, and you find out that he's living in this shitty hotel, and he's got people working for him trying to find the recruiter who goes around recruiting all the homeless people and the people who are desperate. And he's living in this shitty hotel, and you think he's obviously spent all his money on trying to find these guys. He's obviously spent all his money on paying people to go out and find these guys. And it turns out that the shitty hotel he's living in, he's actually bought the hotel. There's only him living in there. And then when he gets he recruits a couple of people who come in to join him, and they say, yeah, but we're going to need guns. And he's got a gun. He said, we're going to need a lot more people. We're going to need a lot more guns. So he goes into the bathroom and he pulls aside a shower curtain, and there's a hole in the wall. And he walks through the hole in the wall, and there's a massive armory. And they say to him, oh my God. He said, well, we're going to need people who are trained. We're going to need people to practice with these things. So then he goes through into another room, and he turns on some lights. And as all the lights are coming on, because he's bought this hotel and he's living in this hotel, he's knocked through a wall into the next room, and he's knocked through a wall into the next room, and so on and so on and so on. And he's made a massive shooting gallery. So he's actually got all these targets and things all the way over at the end of this corridor, just because basically he's bought this hotel and he's just done whatever he wants in his hotel. So he's living there, he's got the armory, he's got his training, he's paying all these people to work for him, he's got this security for it. It's like, holy shit, you know, there's more to this. You know, he's not just this one guy who appears to be just one desperate guy who spent all his money on this fantasy about, you know, trying to find this recruiter. He's actually, you can see where the money is. You can see what he's doing. It's sort of like, that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty clever. I like that. That's very inventive. Very clever. So yeah, really enjoyed it. So
Okay.
definitely recommend it.
Talk about something else, Paul.
Oh yeah. So what else have I watched? I watched Transformers 1 fairly recently.
Oh, the
I don't know
animated
if you've
one?
seen that.
No.
The animated Transformers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really a big Transformers guy,
Yeah.
but I'd heard good things about it. So I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. It was actually really good. I
Yeah?
enjoyed it. It's kind of like the origins of Optimus Prime and the other one, Megatron. It was actually really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. It's, don't go out of your way to watch it. Don't drop everything else just to watch this. But if you find yourself at a loose end, or it's like, oh, what we're going to do tonight? I've got a couple of hours to kill. Stick it on because it's entertaining. It'll just keep you amused. It's got quite a bit of comedy in it. It's the characters are pretty good. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I'd give that a go. I don't think I really need to say much more about it other than I quite enjoyed it. And I'm not a Transformers guy, but I actually thought it was pretty good. I like the action, I like the humor, I like the characters. So give that a go.
Okay.
I also I've watched now Amazon Prime have started really sort of working Jason Statham hard. They're releasing quite a few movies on there, and I watched The Beekeeper and I watched Working Man in the space of a couple of weeks of each other, and they're essentially the same film.
Yeah.
And I think this is the way his career's gone now. I think he's kind of at the stage that Bruce Willis has. Not that Jason Statham's probably got something wrong with him, but I think he's kind of at that stage where people just throwing money at him. Just be Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Just get revenge for somebody, beat somebody up, and it's essentially they're pretty much the same movie. And I predict that any other movie that Jason Statham does, or has done for at least the past 5 years, if not 5 to 10 years, he's probably going to be exactly the same. He starts off, he's just living a quiet life, and then someone he knows and/or loves and/or works for ends up getting beaten up and/or killed and/or ripped off, and then he goes on a rampage to get some form of justice. Beats up an awful lot of people, kills some people, and that's about it. And that's pretty much every Jason Statham movie. From this point forwards. Not that they were shit, not that there's anything particularly wrong with them, but they really are very, very generic. And I don't mind Jason Statham. I don't mind Jason Statham movies because I like action movies, and he does decent action movies. He's pretty good in action movies. He does action very well. He's pretty good. So I'm quite happy to watch more of them, but it's probably the type of film I watch while I'm also playing on my phone. And I'll wait till the action starts. I'll watch the action, think, that was a good action scene. And then while he's sort of like talking or moving from point A to point B, I'll start browsing Amazon again. And then when he starts fighting, I'll watch the action scene. That was a good action scene. And so on and so on. So decent films, but don't get excited and don't go out of your way to watch them.
I had no interest in. I seen the preview, and I said, "Well, that's just the Beekeeper."
Beekeeper is shit. It was absolute shit. When it tries to be, when you try and present campy action film as some kind of highbrow drama, it's shit. I mean, Felicia Rashad, I can see Felicia Rashad reading that script right now and saying, this is shit. I hope they write me a big check. There was a few that get
I have, like they always say, I still got bills to pay. That's why you see me in a shitty film. I still got to pay my bills.
Yeah, I remember telling Susan, how much do you, because we watched it together, how much do you think that film Beekeeper made? She said, I don't think it made any money. It was terrible. I said it made $168 million. And she was like, shut the fuck up. She couldn't believe it. It was one of the worst films I saw last year, actually. It's like, my God. The script was god awful. It was just it tried to be a serious drama with some of the worst acting, pacing, and script I've ever seen in my life. It's terrible, but
it's hard to argue. But like I say, I didn't really watch it. I just waited for the action to start, and then I paid attention. Then I stopped paying attention because I didn't need to know what the story was. I mean, I gathered that the story was absolute bullshit. It's like beekeepers, like. Yeah, that is ridiculous. When you get people saying like, "Who is a beekeeper?" You know, and everyone knows that these beekeepers are sort of like the elite of the elite. It's no, this is ridiculous. This is even more ridiculous than some sort of 80s tea time drama type thing. It's like, oh no, it's. I don't think anyone would have mistaken it for highbrow drama. Sure.
No.
It's just absolute nonsense of the highest order. I completely agree with that. Yeah. But I did enjoy the action scenes. That's literally all I was watching these movies for. I just wait for the action to start, and then I tune in and then I tune out again. So, you know, I'm happy. So, you know, and there might be millions of other people who literally did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
At the end
there
of
were
the day,
millions,
you get a movie that's made $168 million.
Yeah.
But nobody gave a single shit about any of the side characters, about the plot, about the story. We only turned up to watch Jason Statham beat somebody up.
Yep.
And he does. So, you know.
Did that Working Man even, did it go to direct to video? Like direct to
that was
streaming?
Direct to Prime, I think. Straight to streaming, I think that one. Yeah, these are literally like direct to DVD movies that he's doing.
They're 80s movies. They're 80s movies. VHS 80s movies.
Yeah,
that's what they are.
Exactly. I was literally just going to say, I mean, I know that I compared him to Bruce Willis. I think a more appropriate comparison would be Jason Statham is now in his Jean-Claude Van Damme phase.
And Chuck Norris and a few of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It just, I mean, I wouldn't do him a disservice and say that he's in his Steven Seagal phase.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing about any Steven Seagal film that has any whatsoever.
I have to admit,
the action.
I did smile at the Steven.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
The budget.
He looks like that now. He looks like that now. They discussed it on the show. They said that footage of him in Russia came out a couple of days later, and they said, "Fuck me, we tagged it completely." He even looks like that now.
Yeah, and he doesn't do anything.
Funny. That was funny. Yeah.
I brought a Tyrannosaurus. A Tyrannosaurus fighting.
Yeah. Exactly. That was very, very accurate. But yeah, that's essentially where Jason Statham's at now. And you know, and I'm here for it. I don't give a shit. You know, you keep making these movies as long as you can, and I'll just keep watching the action.
$40 million budget, and it made $162.6 million worldwide. So it made well. When I was pulling it up for the fineness, suddenly something come up and said Beekeeper 2.
Oh shit. Beekeeper 2.
Yeah. Confirmed cast.
What they call it. It's with the same movie.
Yeah.
They call it whatever
they're doing it. I knew they were doing a. I think I did a news on here before about it. They're doing a second one, and I mean, I don't know. It is what it is.
They don't even need to call it Beekeeper 2. They can just make another movie and call it whatever the fuck they want.
Well, I thought we could do a bunch of movies, just call it Jason Statham, Generic Man. Call it Generic Man. Generic Man 1, Generic Man 2. Then you don't have to...
Yeah, just do that. Yeah, just do that. Yeah. And, you know, and I'll still watch it.
I did have this bit of news I wanted to get your guys' opinion on before we're done here. Strange New Worlds was canceled. That surprised me. Well, it didn't surprise me. I mean,
they ended it after 5. Yeah,
they're doing next season and then 5 or 6 episodes for season 5, and it's weird. I remember that first season of Discovery. Remember that space battle at the end?
Yeah,
I was so pumped. I know we talked about it here on the show.
Yeah,
we were like. Each of these series is going to go easily 7 seasons and probably into movies. Look at that quality. Look at the acting. Look at the story writing. And it's not DC. It's not the disappointment of DC, but it's up there where you're like, God almighty. I never would have guessed this, that both series would be done after 5. They'd be kind of, they'd be, you know, muddling their way through it. I haven't seen the last 3 seasons of A Strange New Worlds.
Well, we haven't
but they
seen. Have we seen even seen Ezra? I don't even know if season 3's out. Is it?
No, season 3 is coming out this summer, and then 4, and then 6 episodes in season 5. Now, you don't do 6 episode seasons unless you're cutting budgets like crazy.
Yeah.
And part of that, I mean, it'd be the story that I read in the research that I did is last August, Paramount Global said it's going to reduce its U.S. workforce by 15%, and that's why you're seeing these cuts. And also, Star Trek Sector 31 received the worst critic reviews of any Star Trek property ever, including Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, which was the bottom of the barrel when it came to reviews.
Yeah.
That probably played a part into it because they were like, okay, you know what? This isn't firing on cylinders. And it was a modest hit, but it wasn't huge with the fans. But it's such a disappointment compared. I remember that first season. Those last 2 episodes back to back where you're like, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had all the cast. They had Anson Mount, and they had also Soniqua Money Gray, I think her name was. But it was amazing. And I thought it was like a rebirth of Star Trek. I thought it was going to be TNG, 7 seasons each, going into the movies. And 5 years later, it's just, that's it. We're done. It's such a shame. I hope they do it justice with the next 3 seasons of Strange New Worlds, but such a shame.
Yeah.
Anyway. Squandered opportunity. I mean, they pissed away Discovery. I really enjoyed Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, so did I.
I was disappointed to learn that it was going to be cancelled after season 5, but I've also secretly been expecting it to be cancelled after every season.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was really pleased that we're getting season 3, and when I heard that they were going to go even short seasons, I thought, well, at least I know they're making more, so that makes me happy in that respect. But it's a little bit like Marvel. How the fuck do you break Star Trek? You know?
Yeah,
I know. Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
don't get it.
What are these people doing?
One of the most rewatchable series. Actually, someone brought this up. It's been one of the most rewatchable series in the history of TV.
Yeah.
Where people have just gone back and watched the episodes over and over and over again, and you know, they can't get people to watch the new ones with any kind of enthusiasm. It is what it is. Just where we're at. What else did I have here? Oh, you guys still listen to podcasts at all?
Yeah, I listen to too many.
Mainly video games and movies,
Okay. Katie Sackhoff has a podcast, and she has folks from Hollywood that she's worked with all the time. And Brett Spiner was on there about a week ago, and it was a great show. It's very unique in the fact that they did 20 minutes of the show, and then he had to leave. And he had to leave because of the LA fires. They picked the show up 5 months later after his house had burned to the ground.
Holy shit.
And it's unique in that aspect because even this tone from the first 25 minutes, he literally did it's a 2-hour interview, 25 minutes, and then 5 months later. And they talk a bit about that. They talk about other stuff, though. Talk about Comic-Cons and how it's very lucrative and you get to hang out on the weekend with your friends. Casting and audition changes that happened during COVID that have kind of carried over, where you've got, where you send in tapes. And they had really gotten away with tapes. They kind of like to see them, but during COVID, you couldn't do that. And then they realized, well, wait a minute. And Katie Sackhoff brought this. Said before, when you were auditioning from stuff, you were going against actors in the U.S., maybe Canada, possibly the U.K. But he said now you're going against actors all over the world who are willing to play Americans. And he said that's changed it quite a bit. And it was an interesting conversation from that point of view because I hadn't really heard two people talk about how Hollywood's casting and audition process had changed from COVID. So it's a good interview. It's they talked for 45 minutes. He had a ton of memorabilia that just burned up. He lost everything.
Wow.
Literally the laptop that he was doing the podcast on got burned up. It's a great interview, though. It's about 2 hours long, but they're friends in real life, so it was like nice, casual, back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're interested in see what he's been up to and just talk about the industry in general, it's a great conversation between the two of them.
So I've been checking on here. I think one of the reasons that Strange New World is maybe getting toasted because the budget's $8.5 million per episode.
Yeah, it's cost cutting.
Yeah.
That's definitely part of it. I mean, it's definitely part of it. If the ratings were super duper high, they just eat that cost.
But the other thing is when you have a show and then you wait 2 years for seasons. I mean, you talked about this, or someone else talked. I'm pretty sure you mentioned it about directors and showrunners are saying this is how do you expect to keep an audience when you're like 2 years from a season? They've moved on to something else.
Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale. The last one was June of 2022, and they just finished the series up 3 years later.
Yeah, like you're gonna lose audience. Especially.
Yeah.
So, anyways, anything else, gentlemen, or do we need to wrap her up?
I'll give you one more because it could be a quick one. I watched the Crow reboot.
Oh yeah.
And have either of you seen this?
No.
What is it?
The Crow. The reboot
no.
with Skarsgård.
One of the Skarsgård brothers.
One of the Skarsgård.
Yeah.
The Pennywise Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Now I'm a massive fan of the Crow, and I mean the original Crow, James O'Barr comic book.
Yeah.
I remember when I went into a comic shop years ago, and it was on the shelf. It was still ongoing. It was like a limited series, wasn't it? And I picked it up, and I thought, wow, this looks really cool. And I could not find the back issues for love nor money. And I eventually got the trade paperback. Absolutely fucking loved it. I'm a massive fan of The Crow since. I really enjoyed the movie with Brandon Lee. I thought it was very good. I felt that they changed one or two bits in it that were unnecessary. I didn't particularly like the ending, but still enjoyed the movie an awful lot. Brandon Lee was excellent. On to the reboot. And obviously, there's been an awful lot of reviews on the internet about it being absolute shit. And I thought, I'm not sure I even want to see this because it's. I just have such high esteem for the Crow. But I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to stick my head in the sand. I want to know what it's like. I want to see this because it's part of the Crow, and I'm such a fan of the Crow. I want to know. I want to watch it. I actually thought it wasn't that bad. I don't think it was as bad as everyone was making it out to be. It's almost like the Craven or the Craven effect. It's like people just shitting on it. Yeah, just because it's a Crow.
It's that old guard. It's the old guard mentality. They shit on anything that's been redone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh come on, the Brandon Lee Crow. I think that's about 95, if not earlier.
94, I think. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. It's like 30 years ago. Let's let someone else have a go, and it might not be as good, and and it wasn't, but it wasn't absolute dog shit, And again, they changed some things that I didn't like. His girlfriend played a little bit of a larger role.
Bigger girl.
Down. Yeah. They went down the route of, it's like originally in the original story, in the original movie, she dies and that kicks him off on a murderous rampage. Happy days, that's all you need. In this one, they kept revisiting her. They kept sort of like bringing her back into it and sort of like talking to her in the afterlife and sort of like, oh, you can bring her back to life, and that, seriously, it's and that side of it, I thought, yeah, I'm not really on board with that. But I didn't mind it. It kind of made me think about the original Crow because he got the shit kicked out of him an awful lot. There's Pennywise Skarsgård. He was getting shot. He was getting stabbed. There was blood splashing all over the place. And that's kind of in the spirit of the original, where he was just taking punishment, but sort of just pushing through. So I thought, okay, they've kind of got the spirit of what the Crow is. They've got that there. But then they went a little bit more supernatural. And it's the supernatural stuff that I'm not on board with, because I don't know how many people know this. And this is just my interpretation. But in the original comic book story, he shot himself up with morphine so that he didn't feel the pain. He was still taking the damage. He didn't heal. He didn't grow anything back. He was suffering the punishment, that he was shooting himself up with morphine so that he could continue pushing through and get his revenge on the guys that killed his girlfriend. And ever since the Brandon Lee movie, it's been supernatural. It's all been sort of like, oh yeah, his wounds heal. Oh, this, you know, and that I've never really seen that. That's never been the Crow for me. And they do lean into the supernatural an awful lot more with this reboot. So it's not really for me. It's not really my Crow. They didn't really do anything that made me think, oh yeah, that's I'm really pleased about that. I'll watch that again, or I hope they do a sequel. I never thought about it that way, but I didn't hate it. I didn't finish it and think, well, that was a waste of an hour and a half. I thought, you know what? It is what it is. It's an interpretation of The Crow. It's something different. I don't hate it. It's fine. It's a fine action movie. And that's probably the best thing I can say about it. It wasn't shit. But it wasn't The Crow as I like The Crow. But you know, that's just me, and I'm an old man shouting at the clouds. Yeah. Because you know, I'm going back to what, mid-80s? Yeah. When James O'Barr first did The Crow, 40 years ago. You know, it's what have I got to do with anything? Yeah. You know, no one cares what I think. They're going to continue making these things in the way that they want to make them to appeal to a new audience. So I'm just going to have to just dig out the trade paperback and just read the original story if I want the Crow again, because I ain't getting it back. It's never going to go back to the way it was.
All right, so I do have two things I want. We've mentioned this a few times and we never do it, so I'm gonna send a thing to each of you guys with a highlight of how we're gonna do the show. I've been writing stuff. Okay. But one is we never talk about comics hardly ever on the show.
No.
Yeah,
I was just about to talk about comics.
So
there's a couple stories next week.
Okay, well, I'm going to do one. I have actually two. One is based on a TV series that just started, but it's from Mass Publishing, and it's called Pin Up Apocalypse. And I saw the books, and I didn't really pick them up. But then each time I go into the store, the new one's there, and I pick it up. I get interested. So I decided to pick up the two, and then I had to order one online from Comic Fever. So it's a mix of science fiction horror, and it takes place in 1950s. I'm reading it off to help me here, but it's inspired like Hollywood filmmakers Ed Wood, Sam Raimi, Edgar Wright. It's sort of a tongue-in-cheek 50s science fiction horror movie. It's the outline is it's Foxy's birthday and the money in her pocket. With money in her pocket, she's on a mission to find a perfect dress. That's until an explosion rocks the small town of Pinopolis and startles her out of a dressing room surrounded by suspicious green smoke. Fox emerges to find everyone else's town is turned into zombies. So you've got this naive 18-year-old girl. Everybody's zombies around her except for another female that's kind of like the punk female of it. She's in the jeans and a black, and they're trying just to survive to get through. It's humorous. It's kind of sexy. It's got a mysterious little guy walking around. They get picked up by aliens, and in the third issue, the aliens say they drop this bombs to turn everybody into zombies because there's an alien invasion that's coming that's just gonna kill everybody or make them slaves. So they figure the best thing to do is to save the population by turning them into zombies that no one would want. But they always save two individuals to repopulate the planet later or whatever. But they mistakenly grab the two girls. And I don't know if it's because one's dressed like a guy and the other one's dressed like a girl. And that's where it ends up. They figure, oh, well, we fucked up then. Okay, well, we're sending you back then. And they kind of go, what the fuck? Now we got all these zombies to deal with. Ain't you going to help us? You fucked up. You grabbed the two wrong people. So there's issues. Only a 6-issue series. But actually, I like the art. It's the old pin-up style 1930s, 40s art on the. It does it really good well, and it's a lighthearted story about two females trying to fight this apocalypse, but also now they got to deal with these aliens coming. I'm not sure where it's going next because the last one was them being left on the on a rooftop with a bunch of zombies coming, and the aliens being saying "fuck you, we're off." So I don't know where it's going to go after that. For a book that I passed up before because I just thought it was stupid, I'm actually enjoying it. It's I find it a fun read. I'm finding harder for books for me to find that I enjoy. Especially now that previews is coming out where I can find independent books. I really have to take a hope that Lee gets something in different that I can maybe pick up, because right now it sounds like IDW is ending Star Trek series, which was one of the main ones I was getting. I just say if you want a fun book, wait till the trade. Apparently there's a trade coming out. But I don't know when that's coming up, but he said I saw something about a trade. It's a nice, fun read. So, it's hard to find number one because it's when I went to try and find number one, the guy said, it's one of those books that started out slow, now everybody wants it. So
okay.
But if you can find a number 1, 2, and 3 is out there. They have the multiple covers like everything else. Some real sexy and some kind of, they got like there's a nice sexy pinup one. Okay, anyways, look at the picture.
What's it called again? I'm going to see if it's,
okay, Pin Up.
Get it for Kindle.
Pin Up Apocalypse. PINUPOCALYPSE.
Before I forget, Marvel is doing a new Punisher series.
Oh, okay.
Written by Benjamin Piercy.
Who's that?
Which is he's done a lot of work. He did all of Wolverine's 50-issue last run. He's a very good writer. He's a very good storyteller. He's a very good storyteller as far as from a planning point of view. I'm actually excited that he's going to be doing it, and I thought Paul would be looking forward to that too.
Oh yeah, is this going to be Frank Castle?
Yes.
Oh, because the last time we saw Frank Castle, he was in some other dimension.
And I hope he writes him out of that dimension. But it's amazing. They tried with that other guy, and people didn't want Punisher Light. So
who knew? Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Very surprised at that turn of events.
Yeah. Wow.
Plus, John Berthenol's back. Yeah. John Berthenol's doing that movie or TV series with Punisher, and they're like, "Okay, you know what? Yeah. We know where our bread is buttered. Let's get some butter on that bread."
Yeah.
Well, this is it. It's they chickened out of having their own Frank Castle Punisher, but as soon as they saw the reaction to the Punisher on TV, it's like, hang on a minute, all that money seems to be left on the table.
Yeah.
We want that money, so. Somebody write us a Frank Castle Punisher book.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So I shall watch out for that. So,
yeah,
definitely.
Okay. We calling it an evening morning. Did you find that on Amazon? The Pin-Up Apocalypse? Type in massive comics. Type in massive comics. It may help you link in to find where you can get it.
Okay.
That's the name of the company.
Oops. Okay. Massive Comics. Massive Publishing.
Yeah.
MassivePublishing.com.
So you might see where you can get it to there.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Pinopacalypse. Yeah, Pinopacalypse. Yeah. That's not easy to say.
No, it's not, especially with me. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. All right, then. Yeah, Amazon.com. What the hell? You can pre-order the Volume 1, first edition. I got $19.99 paperback. That's 6 issues. That's not bad. That's Canadian. So, Cool. All right, folks. Thank you for dropping in, taking a listen, and hope to hear you back soon. Right. Okay. That's it. That's come back. Don't. Yeah. Hopefully. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Ciao, folks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.
That's all, folks.
Thank you. Come again.
Why, you little?